Oh, yes, I'm not. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Ōtorohanga Community Board meeting, 13th of April, opening at 4 p.m. I would like to ask Taylor if she would open our meeting, please.
Thank you, Bronwyn. So dream big, work hard, stay focused, and surround yourself with good people. A quote that is a perfect reflection on the foundations that great teams are built on. That's exactly what collaboration looks like for us. Community people coming together, bringing different perspectives, and working towards shared purposes. When we do that, we are not just making decisions for today, we are shaping the future for Ōtorohanga for the next generation. We may not always agree, and that's okay. But if we keep listening, supporting one another, and staying focused on what's best for the whole community, we'll keep moving in the right direction. I'm really looking forward to today's discussions and conversations. Let's make the most of this opportunity and build something great for the future of Ōtorohanga.
Thank you, Taylor. Okay, we don't have any apologies for today. We don't have any applications for the public forum. Do we have any late items? No. And do we have any declarations of conflict of interest, anything that's going to be discussed today? No. All right, moving on. Okay, we'd like to look at confirmation of minutes for the minutes from February. I would like to call if someone would like to confirm the minutes from our February meeting. Anybody? Okay, I would like to, and I'd like to move that we accept the minutes from February. Would anyone like to second that? Thank you, Craig. Cool. Okay, so moving on from that, I would like to, matters arising from the minutes, there is some wording that I feel that needs to be changed from the minutes from February. First one is that the discretionary fund, the total remaining should in fact read $9,404.87. I would also like the wording changed under discretionary fund because I feel it's ambiguous where it says that Graham Bunsey Council had resolved to carry forward any unspent funds into the next financial year. I think there should be some clarity in that wording, that it's each year, that it's not just a permanent decision by council. Hey, Brenda, thank you for joining us. Any thoughts on that? We're in agreement? Yep. Okay. Just also would like to make a suggestion around a request for funding where Chairperson Tupperby myself said I'd broach the subject around a bylaw for the sale of fireworks and that I've been advised there is going to be a national move. I'd like that to be changed, please, to what I actually said, which was something along the lines that was possibly going to be a national move towards banning fireworks, because this states certainty when in fact there is not certainty at this point. So I'd like it changed. And also, I read the minutes, can you tell? And there was something around the Kiwi House, but I just can't. Katrina, can you remember the discussion on the request for funding to do with the Kiwi House? Does that read as true and correct to you? You think you're happy with that? Okay, cool. In that case, we'll leave that be. All right. Okay, so I'd like to put it to the vote with those changes for those minutes to be.
What, can I just, what was the new wording on the discretionary fund?
My concern around that wording was it looked like every year the council would just roll over the unspent funds. My understanding is that it is actually discussed each year and then approved.
Oh,
To me, the wording is ambiguous and it sort of insinuates that the council will in fact do that every year.
okay, because the last sentence says this is decided by council on a year-by-year basis.
Good point. Okay, yep, no, you're right.
No, good
Come
point.
Good point. All right, so we'll scratch that one. Okay, any other queries on that? No. Okay, so call the vote that we will approve that that be accepted. Yes, anyone against? No? Okay, cool. All right, thank you. Okay. Okay, so we don't have any decision reports for today. We do have an information report. So I'd like to call Nikki to come and speak to us, please. Good job, Nikki.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you had a dry weekend. I'm here to present a report relating to arts, heritage and culture activities within the Ōtorohanga township, and to provide you, the board, with an opportunity to feedback local knowledge based around a number of projects which we've developed. So this report was in response to direction from council, from the LTP, through the LTP, that we were to develop some arts, heritage and culture activities, but the actual development of a strategy was deferred. So instead, council directed us to develop some, just go ahead and do some things. So what we've done is done two projects recently, which are noted in the report. One of them is the O Gallery, one of them is the Poets Billboard, to basically learn a little on the ground. Because we're starting from scratch with this activity, it's a new week for us, is that we use those two projects to be able to learn a bit as we went, to then be able to inform that framework. So you would have gotten a link to the framework, and then the report holds the 6 projects which we are putting in front of you. So the framework itself is there as a guide for consistency and transparency of decision making within our arts, heritage and culture, because these projects do tend to be all very different. They have different outcomes, they have different approaches, they may have different audiences, different budgets. Some of them may be rolling programs, but yeah, they are very different things. So the framework gives us an anchor to hang everything on. I just quickly note a couple of things within the report, and then I can hand it back to you and we could work through each project. But I did want to mention that we have completed a district-wide public art survey, which has not happened for the district before. So that was a really interesting activity. What kind of public art do we hold? What's it like? What artists made it? What are the stories behind it? And it is of particular note that we do have a Fred Graham, which perhaps not a lot of people know. It's held in the library and it's an incredibly important piece of work. It's nationally significant and it's something we can be really proud of. I'll pass back to yourself, Madam Chair. And then perhaps you could walk us through each project. And then we could do questions for each one as we go. And I really welcome your feedback and ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Okay, just a quick question. How did you do your getting the feedback from the community? How was that done?
Sorry, I'll just clarify feedback from the community in regards to.
You said that you did a public art survey.
Oh, so public art survey is in public artworks. So what kind of sculptures or paintings do we as council hold and care for within our district? So for example, some of them may be the Fred Graham piece in the library, which was fundraised by the community, but then was given back to council to care for. You have the Poe at Omamiti Reserve in Kawhia, which is under our care. So that's what it is. It's essentially a directory of artwork that we care for.
Sorry, I misunderstood you. I thought you meant you'd done sort of gone out to the community and asked some questions around that sort of stuff. Sorry.
It's all right. We have actually done that as well. So to get a picture of the creatives in our community, like it's again learning by doing, is we've done a run of advertisements in the King Country News and social media call outs, as well as call outs through our email networks to basically invite those shy creatives that are making things on their kitchen table or at home to come forward and let us know that they make things. And we did have quite a number let us know that they do. And so I'm building also a directory of our creative people out there. So we get a picture of who's making what, where are they based, what do they need, and then we can start to develop possibly some activities to bring those people together and empower them to make things happen. So that's happening. It's an end. Yeah.
Okay, so you'd like us to work our way through this? Okay. All right, shall we start with the number 7, the Buzzy Bee projects? Okay. All right, so I take it that everybody has read this report. Yes, cool. All right, so the community board, you're asking us to comment on the proposed location being Sidewalk Island, and based on the fact that it's easily accessible to visitors without impeding pedestrian movement. So do we have any questions that we'd like to ask around that? Any feedback?
Thank you. Technical difficulties. Were there any other locations that were explored, or you're asking that from us?
You are very welcome to propose other locations that you think would be interesting to look at. We looked at Wahanui Crescent because it was present in the town concept plan as an area that was being developed and was to focus on. So it was that main town core. But by all means, I'll be really, really happy to hear other ideas about where it would work. That would be great.
I think my concern about the proposed location is the backdrop of that. You know, when you visit other places and they have things similar, you often have a beach in the background or something significant of the town, where this is backing onto a road with parked cars. So that's, yeah, I although the frame itself is a great idea, maybe the location could be placed somewhere a little bit more appealing, or hold some more significance to Ōtorohanga. I've sort of done a bit of a drive around, and I do have some proposed locations. So, and everyone else can jump in wherever as well. But some places where I had thought, and there was a light conversation within the community board as well, about the kiwi at the north end of town. a lot of tourists do stop there. I'm often seeing cars pulled off to the side of the road and they're taking photos with the kiwi. So could there be a frame in front of the kiwi with the kiwi in the background of that? Obviously there's some possible concerns around car parking and things like that as well. It's not exactly the most ideal place to pull off onto the side of the road. But there was also, again, light conversations about, can we make that as a safer space for people to pull over and take photos with the kiwi? Then with Elevate doing the mural on the side of the bakery, is there a space sort of around the village green that could face towards that new painting that's going to go up? You've also got the Kiwiana mural on the side of the Ōtorohanga Club, and the green space in front of that. Or do you swing it and face it the other way in the same location, swing it, turn it around and face it towards the Sir Edmund Hillary walkway or the train station? I think there's lots of locations that we could be exploring.
Those are fantastic suggestions, thank you. And also as a note, we can make it double-sided. So you could essentially view it from both sides as well.
So I had a question as well, a couple of them actually. Is it possible to have more than one photo frame? Because I was wondering potentially about putting one down by the Kiwi house on the other side, because that does get a lot of traffic in terms of tourists as well as local people. And I just wondered if that had been considered, or is it outside the area that you were looking at?
No, absolutely, that can be put on the table, and it can be, you know, it doesn't have to be just one. We could possibly look at doing more. It just obviously impacts budgets and timelines and staff time. And it might be something that then unfolds over a few years, as I think all of these activities are. They're going to unfold bit by bit. But yeah.
I think
we maybe start off with that.
Yeah, learn from that. Each one of these is a learning.
Any other questions? Katrina?
I love the idea of a photo frame. So yeah. I just had some thoughts around, I don't know if they're thoughts, concerns about the concept of that particular, the O with the macron, and then filled in with the Kiwiana thing. Because I know when we were doing the town concept, I know that iwi or mana whenua brought up that they weren't fully supportive of Ōtorohanga being the Kiwiana capital, and there's no reference to iwi engagement in the information report. And I also thought what Taylor said about the background out there, and if you have it in the middle of the footpath to get the full photo frame in, you're going to be standing on the road. For buses, we have a lot of buses that actually stop in the main street and actually don't go out the back. Our tourists take photos in the village green of the Po. And like Taylor said, the Kiwi. And there's also already a photo thing there where you put your head in outside the library. So yeah, I personally didn't love the O.
If there is if you're very welcome to suggest other shapes as well.
Yeah.
So whether that's a square or whether that's a
Yeah,
shape.
I think, as like a proper, for me, a proper photo frame that says Ōtorohanga. So like when you visit somewhere, you've actually got the name of the place you are. Tourists won't know we're Kiwiana capital just by having buzzy bees on something without some context next to it and without our full name. Lots of things.
I'm just mindful of time and how many items we need to get through today. So I'm wondering would you prefer us to ask you all of our questions in this format today? Or would you like our suggestions of what we could potentially think around location and things like that to email you, or us to compile it and send it through? I'm just conscious that we've got a lot
yeah.
to talk about and I'm just conscious of time, that's all.
This is a great start. It's great to hear it live. But if there are things that you want to email afterwards, and then maybe in the next few days, then that would be great.
All right, so I thought if it's okay, we'll move on to the bus shelter. All right, so any questions around the bus shelter? Any ideas around that?
I just love it. I think it's a great idea. I like the idea of the local artists having input on into it and doing the, you know, if you find the special ones. I think it's really cool. I think it works.
Great. Brendan?
Yeah, I agree. It's a must have really. And yeah, we can have a the treasure hunt or some point of interest to grab your attention. I think it's the ideal.
Ian? Yeah? Good. Trina?
Yeah, no, I love it. The only question I had is when we're using Buzzy Bees, do we need to get approval for the licensing? Or do we own that now?
We have all of that in place. Yep.
Have you considered maybe putting that giant Buzzy Bee trailer somewhere and charging $5 a time for a photo?
I'll write it down.
Because it's fabulous. Okay, so let's move on then to the youth designed community notice board. Excuse me, I know that there was some questions that community board wanted to ask you in regards to this. So I'm going to open it up to the floor. Craig, you had some questions on this.
Is that the spot for it? Because there's seating there and it looks like you're going to be taking away the seating to put a sign.
No, I mean, it can be, but I really welcome your feedback and ideas about where you think it would be best. I believe you're also going for a walk perhaps with Jared, which would be fantastic opportunity to look and move around the space and kind of select something you think would work. So by all means, please tell me what you think.
I did wonder if there is, I think someone, was it you, Katrina, that said to me we already have a notice board in the main street? Outside the Dollar City, is that what it's called?
Yeah, outside Dollar City. So I did have a question about it. I think it's fantastic. I love that the youth would be involved in designing it and building it. My question would be, and who would maintain it? Because the one in the main street gets stuff put on it all the time. No one maintains it. No one takes the stuff off it. So who would be responsible for maintaining it and making sure inappropriate stuff wasn't getting put there? And I was going to ask the same question Craig did about, yeah, the placement.
A potential way to kind of mitigate that would be to put some guidelines in place around what, and you're very welcome to suggest what you think would be best in terms of the types of notices that are shown. It could be things like a list of all of the fantastic clubs that we have on offer. So people who are visiting town can actually see, here's a directory. It could be we only put up events. So giving events or giving fundraisers for clubs or organisations rather than a personal notice board. So we can put those guidelines in place. We can also do things like they all have to be A4. So you get that modular look. They all need to be, perhaps they could be proposed by people in the community or an organisation, and they come to council reception, and once a month we go over and we change them over and make sure they're updated. So maybe it doesn't have to be an openable one, it could be a locked one, so it always looks great. But there is the opportunity for people to put their ideas in and say, hey, can we please put our poster, yeah, or yeah, our fundraiser for our club in there.
Can I ask why that location was chosen for this?
Well, it's not, I mean, because in the LTP, we have a direction to be able to look at our town core and upgrade it, beautify it. And so that's why we're looking and we're starting in that place. The village green is the central hub of our community. Yeah, but it doesn't, again, if you think that you have another location that would be better, please by all means let us know.
I guess for me, I was just thinking of a couple of different things. I love the idea. I wondered whether the existing one that's outside where the Dollar City is could be given a complete revamp because it's undercover, so that you're not standing in the rain in winter and on the village green side. And also gets a lot of foot traffic from the street, people going into. I just wondered if that could potentially be a possible location.
That could be explored for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of foot traffic and shelter and things like that. But anyway, that's good. Any other questions regarding sport? Brendan?
Microphone.
I agree with you, Ron. I'd better have this side undercover rather than down the wall fully west of the village green.
Never heard it described quite like that. But
Oh, in the open, because there's probably how watertight's notice board, there's any water integrity issues with the being out in the open like that, better undercover.
Any other comments?
I think, yeah, if you're going to put it on the village green side, we probably need to explore a covering on it, so that it's weatherproof. To be honest, I don't mind it on the village green side because I can be, again, honest and say that I've never really noticed the one over on the other side of the road because it's a little bit hidden. So if it's something new and our, something new and in people's faces, then we're inclined to go and have a look at it. So I like the idea of it being in that hub, like you said, that the in front of the library there, that is like our town centre. And I think people look for information from places like the library and things. So I don't mind the location personally. Yeah, my questions were just like how will this one be different to the other ones? Because you've got, but you've answered that question already because you've got the ones that count down and inside the O Cafe and in the walkway and the support house, like, lots of places in the community are advertising. But I think if we can maybe sort of refine what this one is used for, it could be a really great tool for our community. I like it. I like the idea of the youth being involved and yeah, I think it's cool.
There's also one at the sport house as well, I believe, as well.
Sorry. What's interesting about this kind of work is hearing these kind of ideas, and perhaps something to explore is both again. So that's a great location undercover, and perhaps something interesting could happen on the village green. Yeah.
Did you know that there's a geocaching site in that walkway?
Yes, I found it so cool.
It's cool. There's some very cool sites around Ōtorohanga. We found a few of them. It's quite cool. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to the historic storyboards. So my understanding is that the board may wish to indicate a preference for signage location, noting of course that the signage cannot impede upon the train platform. I have a question in terms of the train platform itself. Is the platform designated just as train track side, or is it both sides? That covers. Both sides. My apologies. So the building that you've got here in the picture, when you're saying that it can't impede, is that both sides included in that, or is it just the side where the train tracks are?
Where it's the side of the train tracks where the passengers alight.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. Craig, any questions? Taylor? Brendan?
No.
Katrina?
I love it because I've been around since the Stock Bank Walkway and yeah, getting our signs there. I'm thinking when whoever works alongside mana whenua for those storyboards, I know that's not what we're talking about, but it was mentioned that maybe we learn from our neighbours because they've just had them put in, it's in the paper. The question about the board at the railway station, will it have like interaction like a QR code? Because I mean, just a story sign is going to be outdated so fast. Like we need to think about, yeah, going forward. And so with that, is the 2.5K estimated, is that likely going to be the cost of every board going forward? Like,
I
lots of questions, sorry.
Lots of questions. Interpretive signage, sorry, let me get my head straight. The interpretive signage projects are linked to our signage strategy, which is in development. And as we worked through that signage strategy, so that's for all signs across the district, we found out that interpretive storytelling signage needs to be individual projects of itself because they are so different. So some historic places, the stories are so in depth and extremely rich, and they need a lot. And they may need different shapes and sizes and things like that. So it's a case by case basis, I think. So I've only estimated it based on just this project and potentially this sort of the depth of storytelling that's required for this site. Oh, and the QR codes. I think that's absolutely, we could, because that could be linked to, for example, our Connecting Ōtorohanga website where we have different pages. So absolutely, it could be multimedia. That's a very, yeah, which it makes the storytelling richer. Yeah.
Yeah, any questions?
I think Katrina just asked, I think, David.
Oh. All right, so no further questions on.
In terms of motivations, I think you're going to start to make a decision on the exact motivations within that area. But I'm real preference of where that comes from.
As a note as well, we're working very closely with Lee, who's, you know, Origin Coffee. And this project actually, like all of these projects, they arrive in different ways. And this one came via Lee. And that came via the visitors constantly asking him, please tell us about the history of this building. So it's really grown organically, this one. He's fully on board. He's very excited.
That was going to be my comment to Nadia's question about basement. Is that, yeah, you're obviously working with Lee, so yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, so moving on to Play on the Way initiative, which I think is such a cool idea. So you're looking for some input from us on street locations and types of games that are wanted, or sorry, that are welcomed. Anyone who would like to start? Brendan?
Yes, it's good, but my kids are a bit old for this now. I'm kind of not the person to make that decision. I'm a bit old along the tooth, really. Taylor, you might be the expert.
Is there something that you
Yeah. Probably the first year. Yeah.
So arrows to the.
First year. No.
No, okay. Leanne, did you have some input on this?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, but we have, like, is that on a village green then?
So, sorry, I can give you a bit more context if you like, which might make things a little clearer. So this is a Sport Waikato initiative. We were approached by Sport Waikato. They're developing this as a regional project. And the reason why the actual cost of it is really quite low is because they will be designing and offering the stencil council. So you just be paying for paint. We can feed back to them about what kind of games that we think would be neat, or we can kind of just go with a pilot, and we can have those kind of basic games that we know fit really well. Start with that, and then perhaps there's a way for the children to feed back. And there could be a really neat design process with the school. So try out these 3 games on your way to school, and then design your own. And then perhaps we could make our own stencils for that. They can be located anywhere, but they are, Sport Waikato has indicated that perhaps they could be best on the journey to school. So not right outside school because they're already there. It's more about making that journey very active. So you can think quite wide about this, residential streets or developments, and
Would there be potential there then maybe for some community feedback where parents and caregivers may think that it would be suitable places, or would you prefer it was sort of more in community board and staff and council?
Yeah, no, if your direction is that, to have input from, people, school age children and the kids themselves, then that's the direction you give us.
I just think that this is just my perspective, is you get quite awesome buy-in from children and parents and caregivers alike to sort of have that opportunity on the way to school. I mean, it is obviously also part of learning, isn't it, really? To sort of feel that they've had feedback on this and then look, now it's there, we can do this on the way to school. I just wondered if that might be a great community initiative, maybe through Facebook or through schools or
absolutely.
something like that.
Not many children walk to school these days.
We've got a lot
They
of
get dropped off in cars.
well, from the vocabulary and the noise that goes past the workshop, there are a few that walk to
Oh,
school.
they might be. But,
Yeah.
on the main road to Southville, for example, it's quite a busy road. You want kids congregating in one area? I think it's the same thing for those roads, different side roads.
We could talk to our road safety advisor. Yeah, for sure.
Craig, can you thoughts?
Well, living down by the school myself, it is, kids do walk, but only a little portion of it, and then they cross the road and they're walking on the grass side anyway. Not many actually walk down the footpath, on the footpath side. Yeah. Probably not the best on the main road, highway.
Excuse me, you're on Carl Street, aren't you? Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, it's the state highway.
Cool. Yeah, I've had a bit of a drive around today as well on this topic. And yeah, I agree, like with the safety issues, like you don't want children sort of playing sillies on a busy road. So I think we have to be careful where we select to put these things. I love it. I love bringing colour to the streets and play to the streets. I think it's super cool. But yeah, I sort of thought that you sort of you've got we've got quite a few childcare centres around. So you've got Harry Potter Street with the hopscotch there. You've got Bledisloe Ave with the hopscotch there. Pennywise Street with Central Kids, and Clark Street with Little Kiwis Corner. On Te Kanawa Street, you've got the play centre, and then the toy library. Oh, sorry, the toy libraries on Te Kanawa and the play centres on Te Kawa Street. So whether it's sort of along those journeys as well, lots of mothers walking around with prams and toddlers are, they get into that sort of thing. In terms of the games, yeah, I mean, Sport Waikato, no, popping, jumping, balancing, all those sorts of things. follow the lines, hopscotches, they're all going to get kids engaged. So, I do think your target audiences is probably like under 10s. But even, kids who are scootering to school, following the lines with their scooters and things like that. So, yeah, I think anywhere along our streets, you've also got the St Mary's and the South School and the primary school. It depends on the scope that we want to go. Yeah.
Thank you, Taylor.
So I'm just running that up. So would you be happy with us to work with us, road safety advisors and sport bike networks, also work place centres to identify the initial big spots and backends and then we and continue.
Sounds good. Okay, so any last remaining questions before we wrap up this discussion? No?
Oh, sorry, for you, Chair, I do have one question. Can't find where I wrote it. It's about the framework that you work to. Did that ever go to council? No, that was my question.
Okay, so we're two from here then.
Can I just break up this thing? If I just break up each one, so we're all really crystal clear on who's doing what. So in relation to the first one, which was the photo frame, you're going to, as a board, come back to us with some locations. So you've kind of suggested that there's been no consensus, some locations for us to explore. And a few of those would be good because there might be reasons why we might not be able to do one or the other. And also a preferred shape. Did you want us to talk to Mana Whenua about using the oar with a macron, or did you want to forego the oar and just come back with a different shape altogether? Or you can let us know your preference. Yes, absolutely. We're all good to go with the bus stop. That was a tick. The notice board, did you want us to explore with the owner of the $2 shop to use that location, or did you want to come back to us with some other options?
My preference would be to use an existing location just from a cost point of view, but what does the rest of the board think?
It comes down to the sign of the board and its water integrity, if you're going to have it out in the open. The Wild West, that's what put. Yeah, agree with Ron. Budget wise, improving the existing notice board might be the way to go. That's well located as it is, central undercover.
So could I suggest then that maybe in the first instance, we find out if it is available for use, and if not, we explore option 2, which was the original idea? Or good to agree?
Yeah, or you come back to us with another option. So we'll talk to the owner of the $2 shop and see what the appetite is there is for having the youth design that up and possibly having some guidelines around how it's used. And then if that doesn't progress any further, we'll come back to the board and you can suggest another location. Cool, sounds good. Okay. Now we can do that outside of a meeting. That doesn't get to
Sorry, through you, Chair. My concern is that if we just upgrade the one that we've currently got, we're actually not giving our youth the chance to design and fully encapsulate this project that we're being delivered, that we're being pitched. Yeah, we're sort of taking a bit of a youth aspect away from that.
Would add in that it would become a different project. The scale of the existing site is quite a bit smaller, and it's fixed to the wall, so it's a surface that's part of the front of the shop. So it would have different concerns or different, I guess, building problems for a brief for the youth to solve than a freestanding structure, which, they need to solve problems like part of the design brief can be, it needs to be weatherproof. So rather than thinking about it as a problem like that's a negative, it's actually a design problem, a challenge for them to solve. So it can be viewed the other way.
So I'm just to clarify clarify for my own information, so the design of this notice board by youth, the information that will be within it is for who?
For the community,
Okay,
yeah,
so the content is for the community, but we're suggesting that the youth design and create it.
correct.
Okay.
And you are very welcome to feedback about what you want that structure to, the brief for the actual structure. So if you want it waterproof, if you want it to have a carved element, if you want it to have colour, if you want to have natural timbers, all of that kind of thing can be put into a design brief for those students to figure out as part of their work.
Would it be helpful for us to come up with a series of questions? Would it be helpful for us to come up with a series of questions to help you design or develop that brief for the youth?
Have we, you've been in discussions with the college about this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's just, I know that
It's
we were in
a very,
discussions, it was tight trying to fit a project into their plan for the
yes,
year. So-
now we've been working really, really tightly with the college. So we have linked into their curriculum, and this project is specifically linked into their existing curriculum. It's a possible within term work. So they're all, yeah, the potential's there, absolutely.
Through the chair, may I just, the content that's going to go on this board is different to potentially the content sitting in the $2 shop boards. So maybe the discussion is wider than whether you're located there, because you're actually going to maybe replace the content that's already in that board. And I don't even know what's in that board. I haven't seen it myself, to be honest. I'll be looking for it next time I'm down there. But I suppose the question is, if it can be waterproof, it could go in another location rather than the actually being there and undercover. So I think there's a wider discussion there, isn't there? Because what are you going to do with the content that's in that book, really?
And I don't want to sound like I'm being negative, because this is not my intention, but I do wonder if we've already had a couple of people in this room today say they haven't seen an existing notice board that's already there. My concern is would this could possibly have a similar outcome, and how that be changed so that it is seen and people know that it's there. It's just, I'm not trying to be negative, because that's not my intention. It is just a genuine question.
Yeah, I think that's when it comes down to making a beautiful object. So,
Good answer.
and involving our young people to get excited, to solve a design challenge in their own town, and to install it and have an opening, and it's something that people can be proud of. So when you have a beautiful object, it'll get more attention than something that is informal and a bit scrappy. So, which is, that's fantastic for what the dollar shop notice board does, because anyone can put anything on it, and that's really neat because I don't have to ask anybody. It can be put up, and that's got a very different function and audience to perhaps this one.
So, given that, oh, can I suggest that the board suggest some locations and some design elements that they would like the college to work to?
Well, I really like Katrina's suggestion. Like, I think it's a must have to have a QR code on it, because young ones are a lot more digitally advanced than this old rooster. But even I know how to use the QR code. So, and it's just, if that kind of bounces back to an Ōtorohanga council platform, it's a lot easier to electronically update any information. But the QR codes must have, in my opinion.
Okay. I think that was it. And, yeah, so we've got some clear items, and then I think Kyle will have some clear notes.
Through you, Chair, because we just skipped straight through the upcoming projects and we didn't touch on the current projects, can I just ask a question?
Sorry, we skipped through what?
The first item, the first item in the report, current projects, the O Gallery. And the poem board?
I wasn't aware I'd skipped over it. I was
No, that's fine.
understanding as we were talking with the green, highlighted greens, was I?
I just wanted to, yeah.
No, it's all fine.
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to say how awesome they are. Is there any, like, because you've done a lot of work building those relationships with the businesses for our local artists to use those spaces to showcase and sell their work, now that they're up and running, is there any opportunity to like transition it over to the artists to actually do, to manage it as a local arts community? Because yeah, just in my thinking is you've set it up, you've set an awesome project up, and then some of them are actually making money from it now. And is that a space that we should continue to be in now that you've done all the groundwork? And should we just be stepping back and be a more supporting role in that space?
That's an excellent question. So what I have found is working with our district artists is the artists are very receptive to professional development. And that's one area that a number of them are really wanting to build on. So things like, how do you approach a gallery, even if it is informal, like a cafe? What do you say? How do you get a show? What works do you pick? We're working through that. So it's kind of on an artist by artist basis so far. We've done 2 shows. We're just on our 3rd. I would predict that it's going to be at least another year of kind of figuring this out. And each artist has their own needs in terms of how they're hanging the works and how they approach things. Absolutely, I think once we get a group within the district or within the township that can work together and be a collective or someone to run it, then I think absolutely that'd be great. They haven't quite got there yet, I don't think. But long term, yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. I'd really like to see, like, and I might be speaking out of turn, so forgive me if I am, I'd really like to see a timeline on it, because like the database that you talked about before, which is fantastic, of building the artists in our area, that's been going on for a few years now. So you've been working in this space for so I'd like to see some sort of timeline.
So if I could add to that through you, Madam Chair, I guess part of Nikki's role is to work in this space. This is what her job entails, and we're really lucky that we actually have her skills, because they're pretty rare and uncommon. We can definitely go away and talk about a timeline for that, but I think while we've got Nikki's skills to be able to work in this space, we should be able to use them. I guess the question I've got is are you thinking that as council we shouldn't be working the arts space? Is that we're kind of thinking about? Is that where the question's leading? No, you're just thinking about the art world leading themselves a bit.
Commercial side of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's their bread and butter. They're a small business, and you've set them up, you're help facilitating for them. That's where I'm sort of coming from.
So I think perhaps a way to look at it is each artist then gets that lift off. So I'm not working with past the exhibition phase. I do obviously keep a dialogue with that artist, but we are no longer acting as a curator or dealer for their work. So that only happens in the context of the exhibition. So, we help lift them up, we get to them to that level, help them show their work. Maybe they make some sales. That should never be just the goal, because artwork, you can learn a lot from just exhibiting your work. It's not just about selling it. And then they lift off and we have the next one who then gets uplifted. So we're certainly not in the position of acting as an art dealer or or selling. That's absolutely back to the artist once their work goes down. Hopefully they then just go and set up another show somewhere else, which would be fantastic.
She say it's more of a mentorship role.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Any more questions?
I got. And the cheap seats over here. Just the notice board. Has anyone thought about an electronic one? Because the thing I see about notice board is after a while, nobody changes them and information is pretty old. And maybe technology these days should be an electronic. I mean, it might be dearer, but at least it might be. I just think of the one that by Subway, the Kiwi, quite often it's got, you know, an old date on it, and even a notice board by the Dollar City shop or whatever, quite often it's got an event that's already happened. Just wonder if that's something to think about.
I agree with you, Rodney. That's why I think the trend suggested on the QR code came down that path.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because everything that's on the notice board should be relevant enough up to date with the IT people, the council are onto it.
I'll add that to our suggestion. All right then, so if there are no further questions, I would like to propose that the community board receive the information report that has been prepared for us by Nikki. Okay. So can I have someone read that? Leanne, someone send that?
Yeah, second that.
Thank you, Brendan and Craig. Thank you so very much for coming and presenting to us today. Really appreciate it. You've obviously put a lot of time and effort into this.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to board member updates. I'm just going to quickly go around the room and start with Taylor. Taylor, any board member updates for us?
Nothing officially. 2 Fridays ago, I attended the Zone 2 LGNZ Hui in Karapiro, which was really insightful. And it was great to collaborate with people in our zone about up and coming forums, etc., reforms. And yeah, nothing overly official from me.
Cool, thank you. Craig. Okay, thank you. Leanne. Brendan. Katrina.
No, I mean, I could say what I say in the council meeting, but yeah, no.
Okay. Just briefly, a couple of things since our last meeting in February. Obviously we did the bus trip that was organised through the council, which was fantastic. We had an informal community board get together to just discuss the annual plan and a number of other things. We sent in, I had an inquiry from Rural Women's in regards to support after the floods in February, and I sort of have been working in the background there a little bit and just pointing people in the right direction around the Mirror Relief Fund for those that look like they would qualify. Also have had a discussion with the Kiwi House around the solar panels, which was a discussion we had in February, and also have also talked to the Ōtorohanga Charitable Trust about the funding that they received from both the community board and elsewhere in regards to flood relief, which I will talk about a little bit later. And I've been doing a little bit of research as well around items for the annual plan, which I'll talk about later. Yeah. Okay, so all right, board projects. We don't have any new projects at this time, but I did wonder if this was the space to ask for an update on the sponsorship of the dog agility. Katrina, in the February meeting, we had some paperwork that you gave us in terms of sponsorship proposal for the dog agility part? I just
I
wanted
think I'll-
the updates.
So Joe is still working with a couple of businesses. But no work can start in this weather anyway, so I'll give you a better update next month.
Okay, cool, thank you. All right, moving on to the general reserve fund, and I'd just like to note in the agenda that the fund as of today, the balance should read 134,315.46. So that's $134,315.46. Is that my Facebook? That's right, yep. And the previous board, as we know, had committed the $95,000 to the two projects. These being the dog park and the outside gym. And the reserve fund, as of today, there is actually an error that's in this on the agenda. This should in fact read 1.4,200,000. Yeah, it's not $1,400. It's a little bit short. So I'd just like that to reflect the true amount, please.
Bronwyn, under the reserve fund, the last sentence, these commitments are not included in the balance. What does that mean? It's
Yes,
like
please.
either I
I'm
or.
going to ask Maya to answer that question for us.
Through the chair, so the projects are ongoing, and at the end of the financial year on 30 June, that's when the final balance will be known, and after 30 June, the money will come down off that reserve. So the balance isn't updated until that point.
No, I think it's just the wording that confused me. It's got are not. So it doesn't make sense. It's either they are or they are not. So they.
Thanks, Katrina. Okay, so request for funding. We need to, so we had approved a grant in principle of $2,500 to be made to the Ōtorohanga Charitable Trust for the work with the Ōtorohanga community as a result of the floods in February. So we agreed collectively to make that payment due to the urgency, and so we now need to do a formal resolution that this be approved. Okay. All right, so the recommendation is that the Ōtorohanga Community Board retrospectively grant $2,500 excluding GST to the Ōtorohanga Charitable Trust to assist the Ōtorohanga community following the 14th of February weather event. So I would like to know if
I don't think you could move that one. There's a conflict.
yeah. Yeah, so I would like to call for someone to. No, okay.
Sorry, through you, Chair, has the conflict been declared at all in the process of this meeting? So when, just, at the start where you call, so maybe if Kaya records that, that might be appropriate at this point.
Do I hand it up to Craig?
Just call for it
Okay,
over, just
so I would like to acknowledge, and my apologies for not doing this sooner, that I do have a direct conflict of interest with the Ōtorohanga Charitable Trust because I am a trustee. Okay, my apologies for not declaring that. Okay, so I would like to call a member of the community board to approve that retrospective grant.
I'll move it.
You'll move it?
Yep.
Okay, and someone to second that.
I'll see.
Thanks, Leanne. Okay. Right. All right, resolution register. It is suggested by staff that the the code of conduct be removed from the register. So I call someone to approve that the Ōtorohanga Community Board approve the removal of the resolution 0.13 from the register, being the adopted code of conduct. Someone like to, thank you, Taylor, and someone like to second it?
I'll see.
Thanks, Craig. Okay, public. There are no reports from the public. Okay. So I'd just like to call Brendan to close our meeting for today.
Okay. Okay. Mā te whakapono, mā te tūmanako, mā te tiro, mā te whakarongo, mā te mahi tahi, mā te manawa nui, mā te auraha, ka tai e tautau.
Thank you, Brendan, and I would like to officially close our community board meeting at 5 minutes. Thank you everyone for coming.